Yeah. Welcome to the Gunny Gumby Show. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you ever lost? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.
Well, and the New York Jets fall to 3-10. They have dropped a little bit in the draft order. Not gonna lie to you, man. This game we just witnessed on Sunday was definitely not the stuff of legend. Not what we were expecting to see from our team, especially against a rival like the Miami Dolphins. And yet, that was the product they put on the field. New York Jets got shellacked by the Miami Dolphins at home, like in our house. Like it didn't happen like in Miami, or it happened in our house. And of course, now Dolphins fans are ecstatic because they finally get a cold weather win. Granted, I mean I wouldn't really consider it cold. From my understanding, it was nippy, right? You know what I'm saying, but apparently for them, it's a cold weather win. And yeah, that's how we get swept by the Dolphins in the 2025 season. So it was frustrating. It was frustrating. Now the funniest thing about this is, like, for me, and I know for some of y'all that root for wins, it was beyond agitating to watch our team get their ass kicked at home the way they did. It bugged me to my core. I'm still salty about it. Like I'm still like I know it's probably for the better, as they say, but it agitated me to my core because I really wanted the Jets to go ahead and beat the Miami Dolphins. Like it really pisses me off. But whatever, man. We lost. We lost. And like I said before, we're in a current state now as Jets fans where we win games, I'm gonna be happy. We lose games, it benefits the team, right? So win, it's a win lose, whatever. It's a win for us. What's good, everybody? I appreciate y'all for jumping on. It's the Hangar HangOut, episode 67. We're going into week 15 of the 2025 NFL season. There is, now I wouldn't say there's a lot to talk about right now, right? Jets suck, right? The culture sucking, which is great for us, right? We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Steve Wilkes. I really think if we're talking about really seeing this team take the next step, it's not just going to be about us getting a top pick, but also getting rid of Steve Wilkes and bringing in someone else to operate and run that defense. I really don't even know if he's really serious about this job at this point. I kind of think he is kind of like a terrorist plant that's just here right now to go ahead and make Aaron Glenn's job difficult, being the old head in the group, but I digress. What's good, Jesse? Appreciate you, man, for jumping on. As always, appreciate your support. Tom Stokes, Ryder, and Talon's PA. Okay. Appreciate you, man. Doing pretty good tonight. I mean, yeah, it's we lost to the Dolphins. I hate that we lost to the Dolphins, but I'm like I said before, I'm in the mindset of if we win games, awesome. We're helping build towards a winning culture. If we lose games, we've got some holes on this roster that need to be filled. So that also benefits the team to getting better. So, yeah, man, I'm doing as good as you can, right? Right now in fantasy football, I'm killing it. 6 fantasy football leagues. I'm in 5 playoffs. I lost the one league I lose every single year. I don't know if y'all ever played a league before. It's a Yahoo league I play with some of my Marine friends. Some of us are retired. Some of us are still active duty. We've been playing this for quite some time. And it's like a punishment league, right? Where you obviously want to go ahead and win first place, be the champion, you know what I'm saying, talk your shit. But if you lose in this league, like there's a punishment. And I've had to endure it one time already in the 5 years I've been a part of this league. It's like a double quarterback league, man. It's very difficult to it's just weird in comparison to what I'm used to. Again, 6 leagues, I'm in 5 playoffs except for this one. But the crazy part is I came in like 7th place, right, out of 10. And to me, that's winning. That's winning because I didn't come in last, right? So I'm feeling pretty good this week, right? Minus the Jets losing, and of course, you know what I'm saying, not getting into a 6-for-6 playoff situation. But nevertheless, I'm doing good. Appreciate you asking. Appreciate you for chopping it up with me and coming in here and talking some Jets football. Jesse goes, getting better. Been running a 102.5 for the last 2 days. What's good with you, brother? Man, 102.5. That's high, brother. That's high. Like I hope, you know what I'm saying? Like you're feeling better. You better get yourself into like a cold bath, bro. That's pretty for 2 days. All right. I hope whatever it is, man, it's just a bug, nothing crazy. And you get better real soon. I on the other hand, I feel pretty good. Not to brag or anything about it, but lately I've been feeling like crap. The wife bought a full mattress, like a warming mattress top. So like now our mattress has a whole warming pad that goes across the entire top of the mattress, and we've got our own little dials on each side of the bed. And I got to experience that for the first time last night. I kid you not, man. I have not slept that good in months. I woke up this morning at 5 o'clock to get ready to go to work. Jumped out of bed, no big deal. Nothing was popping. The body felt limber, felt good. So I highly recommend these heated like pillow top for your mattresses. You just put them over your mattress and whatnot, and yeah, awesome stuff. So I feel pretty good if I'm being honest. And again, not to brag because I know you feeling like crap, and I hope you feel better. Sorry about that, dog, but that heated like pad was great for me to sleep last night. It's been a great day. I can't wait to go to bed tonight because it was awesome. Hope you feel better, brother. Kel, what's good? Appreciate you being here. No more Gotham uniforms. Yeah, so I was feeling those uniforms a little bit. So I don't know if everybody felt that way, but again, obviously the outcome of that game would probably taint that uniform for us a little bit. But for me, I thought they were nice, man. I'm actually gonna probably get me a jersey, a legend, a Jets legend jersey. I'm not doing these new guys anymore. I'm sick and tired of the graveyard of jerseys continuing to grow. But I was a fan of the Gotham uniforms. I love what they did with the field as well. Again, didn't matter because the Dolphins came in there and smacked us around. So I guess in terms of the output of wearing those uniforms, I can understand how you would feel about not wanting to see them again. Jets better not trade the farm for Mendoza. Could be another decade of not making the playoffs if he doesn't pan out at the NFL level. So we're going to talk about that tonight. There was a recent article that came out that kind of like a mock draft. If I forget the writer, one of the famous ones that we all know. Excuse me right now, but he kind of broke down what it would cost to get Fernando Mendoza by getting to the number one pick. And honestly, I wouldn't consider that giving up the farm, right? But I do believe the Jets have a lot of holes they need to fill. So you've got to really weigh out whether or not getting the number one overall pick to go after your quarterback is worth it when you've got some holes you can fill with those premium assets that you would need to give up to get there. So we'll talk about that and then see how y'all feel about that at the end of the hangout tonight. Tom, I wasn't surprised after watching this team for 50 years. I hate to see it, to say it. It's what I expected. It's kind of sad. And it's not. You can't really argue that, right? Like this team has given us very little to go on as a fan base. That makes us believe that they're going to get it figured out. That makes us believe that we're on the right track. I felt like Aaron Glenn was giving us a taste of competency at the coaching position, getting those 3 wins. So I'm not saying that takes away, this loss takes away from all that. They were clearly unprepared for that game. But to me, it hurts a little bit more because it was a division rival. Like if you're gonna be unprepared for a game, be unprepared for like the Chargers or the Titans or the Texans, something like that. When it's a division rival you're unprepared for, that hits a little different for me. So I can understand the frustration in that mindset and that aspect. But no, I really believe that it's at some point, right? It has to be our time. Statistically speaking, at some point, the New York Jets have to get on the right track of this thing, right? On the right side of this losing and winning thing. And I can't help but wonder, like, what the NFL is waiting for. Like, if the New York Jets succeed, I believe the return on investment from this fan base is going to be tenfold, right? The NFL is going to make so much money when the New York Jets start winning football games because this fan base has been deprived of what that feels like for so long. And we've got such a passionate and dedicated fan base to a losing franchise. Imagine what's going to come of this team winning. Imagine the kind of the energy we're going to put back into this team when they start winning games. It sucks, man. I'm sorry, Tom, but 50 years is a long time, brother. I feel you. I'm going on 30 plus, so I know what you mean. It's it's painful. You keep praying that okay, this year's the year we finally put it all together. Hasn't happened yet. In my mind, though, I'm saying it's got to happen. Statistically speaking, we can't just be bad forever, right? That's just not a thing. Like you can't be bad forever. At some point, it comes full circle, and then you get your opportunity. Just got them cheeks clapped. Offense ran for 239 yards. Positive, those special teams is on point. I make the argument Jets are the best in the NFL special teams. Yeah, nah, Miguel. I mean, that was belt to ass. Belt to ass. The Dolphins came in there and they put it on us, man, and it was embarrassing. But the only bright note, you said it perfectly, was that special teams. And I do agree. I do believe the Jets have the best special teams in the NFL. I love it even more so because Banjo is so young. He's a first-time special teams head coach. The guy was just playing in the NFL a couple of years ago. And now here he is coaching up the best special teams unit in the entire league. It says a lot. Says a lot. That is one thing we got to be very positive about is our special teams is going to be a weapon for us moving forward. We just got to go ahead and get some more complimentary football going with the freaking, the defense and the offense, make it all make sense. Miguel, what's up, brother? Became a member level became a fire team member, level Gunny's fire team Charlie. Welcome, Miguel. I appreciate you. We're gonna be doing a couple of giveaways here over the next couple of months, and as a fire team member, you are automatically got an entry already plugged in. So whether you're here for the show or not here for the show, whatever the case might be, all fire team members are automatically entered in our giveaways. And welcome to the fire team, brother. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate your support. Oh wow, Miguel, you feeling like one today? Miguel has gifted 5 membership level Gunny's Fire Team Bravos to individuals that are currently in the chat. Jesse, you get a membership. Tom, you get a membership. Wild Chew, you get a membership. Big Will, you get a membership. And J-Lag, you get a membership. Good looking out, Miguel. I appreciate you, brother. That's going to get you a couple of extra entries in our next giveaway. And every fire team member, congratulations, you now have an entry in. Now I got to do a giveaway within the next month. So there's going to be a giveaway coming probably right coming into the new year, like a New Year's giveaway. It's coming. I'm going to go ahead and set that up, have that prepared for us over the next couple of hangouts. But appreciate you, Miguel. Number love, brother, man. Appreciate the support. Cal, uniforms are okay. The loss, yeah, 100% agreed. Uniform was good. That loss sucked. That loss really, really sucked. I see you guys saying thank you to Miguel. I appreciate that. Merry Christmas. He's feeling very jolly, passing out some love, passing out some support. I appreciate that. But yeah, let's talk about these New York Jets, right? So I had a couple of things I want to discuss. So before I get into the draft component, I got to talk about Steve Wilks. I know there's a lack of talent on this team. I get it, right? Like it's not personal. This isn't emotional. This is just purely about results, right? It's about accountability. And the New York Jets want to be a serious organization. They got to go ahead and fix things that are broken. And the defense is broken. It's been erratic at best, right? We've seen them elevate their game a little bit and over the last few weeks, but then against the Dolphins, who have one of the worst offensive lines in football, I mean, they got one good wide receiver in Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill is gone. Like, and to get embarrassed like that to me was it just says incompetence across the board. This defense is underperforming, and I get it, man. I understand that there's a lack of talent there, right? But you've seen a lot of individuals kind of step up in the absence of, say, a Sauce Gardner, of a Quinnen Williams and Brandon Stevens, who stepped up dramatically. AZ Thomas has been a fun watch. He's been doing great things. You got Phillips and Briggs, who's also dominated and held their own on the defensive line. This defense, I'm not saying got better by subtraction, right? Because that just seems like I'm coping. But in all actuality, this defensive line has gotten better in terms of stopping the run. And the secondary has held their own. Lots of breaking passes. Those 2 young guys back there are holding their own, and they've showed another level to their game. But this week, Sunday, that game was bad. It was bad. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about 3rd and longs. They're converting. There's no like spot on the quarterback, like the short passing game. They're always open, and it's just like you're looking at these guys. It doesn't make sense because the math's not mathing. How is it that almost every opportunity to get off the field, somebody gets open? And it's like wide open too. No one around them for what seems like yards. The defense just isn't playing fast. It's not playing confident. I would argue that they're not very confident. Um, and it's dictating games, man. You know you've got an offense right now without your starting quarterback, without a real starting quarterback, period. And we can't get behind in these games, right? This is the Jets. You've been predicated as being one of the best defenses in football for several years now. So there should be some ownership or some sense of pride with that unit that, listen, it's got to be on our shoulders. I know we're not going to go ahead and stop everything, but we gotta make it competitive. It's on the defense to make it competitive. And to put that performance out on Sunday, man, I'm sorry. I only look at one person to blame for this because we're wasting opportunities, right? You're looking at a defense that is obviously missing talent. We're talent deprived, and I get that. But these young guys seem like they're not being put in the right positions to win. Steve Wilkes just seems like he doesn't care, like he's collecting a paycheck. I'm starting to get the feeling that, man, he's just not the answer. He's not the answer. Um, the Jets don't even need a good defense. Like we we don't need a defense like on paper. We need a competent one on the field, right? Like we've got pieces, we've got individuals we like. JJ's supposed to be a stud. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what's going on with our boy. He hasn't gotten to the quarterback in quite some time now. Spin move apparently isn't working too well. But on paper, we look at some of the talent, we think myself, all right, we've got some dudes that should be able to go ahead and make plays. But we're not seeing it show up on game days. And you got Brandon Stephen and AC Thomas who are just rising up the ladder pretty much in terms of their individual accolades as defenders. Same with Harrison, same with Briggs. But on Sundays, it just doesn't seem like it all comes together. I'll tell you right now, the linebacker core has taken massive steps backwards. Quincy and Sherwood. Uh, Maybe they were benefactors of the Salah system. We're going to need a linebacker like ASAP this offseason. We need a linebacker. Whether you do it in the draft or you do it with free agency, you need to get a linebacker. Um, I'm, this isn't about blame for me, right? It really isn't, but it's about direction. It's about us talking about free agents and draft picks, but there's clearly an issue on your coaching staff right now, and Angstrom, I'm going to give the benefit of a doubt because of the limited options he has in terms of a quarterback, which is going to dictate how well or bad your offense is going to move. I just look at this, man, and you got to hold someone accountable. And I heard, during the presser where AG said he's got to look at the staff. Well, the only person you've got to look at, realistically speaking, is freaking Steve Wilkes. He's the veteran guy on that coaching staff. He's the guy you would expect could do more with less. And he's the one dude that doesn't show up. AG has shown us some flashes of being able to go ahead and make some decisions that's going to help his team win games. We've seen some creativity from the offense whenever there's a level of competency that freaking Angstrom can work with, right? The opening drive usually has looked really good, so you can tell he's very creative, but he understands he's got a limited bag he can throw at the quarterbacks that he has currently to work with. And then Banjo, lights out. I mean, give him candidacy for a Coach of the Year award because this dude has coached the hell out of this freaking special teams. They're elite. And then there's freaking Wilkes, the senior guy on deck. It just seems like week in and week out, his unit is the question mark. So for me, man, you gotta hold him accountable. It's time to move on from Steve Wilkes. And I know there's 4 games left. What's the point? It's to send a message. It's to send a message, and perhaps you have an opportunity to evaluate one of the defensive personnel coaches currently right now on your roster that you might be able to elevate. You did it with freaking Banjo. It was a great decision to make him the special teams coach. Angstrom, I still think he's got some stuff to him. Again, we've seen levels of creativity in the offense. Unfortunately, it's limited because of the quarterback position, and we understand that. So for me, I think it boils down to you've got to go ahead and set the example. Someone's got to go ahead and be you got to shoot a hostage. I've said this before. Sometimes you got to shoot a hostage in order to let everybody else know you mean business. And I think Steve Wilkes is the guy. I think you got to let him go. I just don't see a situation or a scenario where he's here next year anyway. This defense has not been coached well. And it looks like oftentimes Steve Wilkes, if you look at him on the sidelines, whenever he doesn't seem like he cares. Like he wants to be there. Like it's just another check for him. So for me, at some point or another, you got to hold somebody accountable. Steve Wilkes, it's been real, bro. I appreciate you. We tried it, you know what I'm saying, but it didn't work out. I think a good portion of why Aaron Glenn brings in a Steve Wilkes is because he doesn't want to go ahead and come off as, look at me gambling on all these young guys, right? Like he didn't want to make an entire team of first-time coaches. So you bring in a guy like Steve Wilkes, who's been a head coach before, you know what I'm saying? He's a seasoned defensive mind in the NFL, to bring a level of validity to your coaching staff. But he's the wink link. Like the dude you brought in to add a level of validity, he is the weak link. For me, you let him go. Let him go. Vero Beats, what's up, man? Welcome to the chat, brother. A lot of NFL analysts says Wilkes really is messing up scheme wise. I get I get they lack talent at all levels of defense, but game after game they seem to have issues, and that's the point. We're not asking for this defense to be elite. We're just looking for competent defensive strategy, and you don't see it week in and week out. And again, a lot of analysts have brought this up. Like they're trying to understand the philosophy behind the defensive calls being made. It's one of those scenarios where, like, again, good dude, but you're not doing your job. Whereas a rookie like Banjo over here, I really believe he's the MVP of our coaching staff right now, and he should get an award. I think he should get an award. I think he is been fun to watch. He's made our Sundays and Sundays, we haven't really had many primetime games, a lot more fun seeing what's the special team's going to do today has been my thought process. Whereas Steve Wilkes is currently the coach of the lone team without an interception on American soil. Actually, not an interception at all, and we've got 2 turnovers. I saw something earlier today with Buffalo Jet fan and Joe Blewett going back and forth on X. And they were talking about what's the record for, the least amount of turnovers in an NFL season. Buffalo found the detail. It's 7. 7 turnovers in an NFL season. The Jets currently have 2. And, I mean, I agree with them when they say that we're probably going to see the Jets beat that record. Not something you really want to add to your resume, but here we go. The Jets will probably finish with the record for the least amount of turnovers in an NFL season. Absolutely nasty work. Dano, what's up, brother? Appreciate you, man, for jumping on. We're just talking freaking how to fix this team, dog. You know how this game goes. Miguel goes, I want to see Cook start for the rest of the season. He showed some flashes with quick release and some solid throws, just needs reps with the first team. Yeah, honestly, and I know you see the 2 turnovers, especially in the red zone, and you're thinking to yourself, you're insane. But in all actuality, he showed you enough to where you're like, there's something there. There's something there. I'm not saying he's gonna be the next Tom Brady. I don't believe that's the case. I'm not saying he even has the ability to be a consistent starter in the NFL. But when you're looking to go ahead and fill out this roster, you're gonna need backups. And he showed you some flashes that he made some throws. There was a throw he made to A.D. Mitchell, man, just a beautiful ball. I think Joe Blewett called it a throw into the honey hole or something like that. And it was a beautiful throw to the sideline, man. He layered it over a freaking defender that was in front of A.D. Mitchell. And while there was another defender crashing on him, it was beautifully placed. And I saw that and thought, okay, the confidence is going to get going now. We're going to see more of these plays. But again, they moved down the field and then they just couldn't close. So I think with more reps this week, we should see a better product come Sunday. I don't think we're gonna see freaking Fields. I don't think he's gonna be out there. I don't think you're gonna see freaking Tyrod either. These are Tyrod's hurt yet again. No surprise there. This is his MO, soft tissue injury in the thigh. And if I'm being honest with you, I think Justin Fields has been benched. I think the whole knee thing is just their way of saving face. and allowing him to take an injury designation to go ahead and not be out there or not be the topic of conversation as to why he's not out there or will he be the quarterback next week. I don't think you see either one of those guys go out there. I think it is going to be Brady Cook. I know we got Adrian Martinez in the building as well to back him up. So, yeah, get ready to go ahead and see some interesting football because there's no telling what we're going to see. But yeah, no, I thought he did some nice things. He just couldn't finish. That was the ultimately the big problem. My boy Vero, member for 16 months, level of Gunny's Fire Team Alpha. Appreciate you, brother. The support has been second to none, Vero. I appreciate you, dog. Um, your message is we didn't get Steve Wilkes, we got Steve Wilkos. Yeah, like the guy we got isn't the guy we were expecting. Not at all. Like it's gotten to the point now where it's almost comical seeing that the most senior and experienced coach on the roster is by far the worst coach on the roster, and it's not even close. And yeah, like I said before, he's got to go. You got to let him go. If you're serious about being serious, you can't keep him on here just because you're afraid of your roster being too young and he validates your coaching staff. Now, at some point or another, you got to go ahead and cut the ripcord, let him go, give one of these other young guys an opportunity. Again, it worked with freaking Banjo, and you've seen flashes with Engstrand. So do the same thing with your defense. So that way you're all on the same page and you're all freaking, paddling in the same direction come next year, which is right around the corner as we're down to our last few games of the NFL season. We have 0 interceptions, but we probably dropped 10 so far. That's also a fact. We dropped, 3 just alone in that game against freaking Tua. Another thing, too, Tua leads the league in interceptions. I think he's like either first or second behind Geno Smith. And he gave us 3 opportunities, and we couldn't finish on any of them. Like it just made. I saw somebody say something on. Actually, I think it was the announcer during the game. He said, "My goodness, if you believe that there are football gods, it's almost as if the football gods refuse to allow the New York Jets an opportunity to get a turnover." And like you can only laugh at that because there's some. It sounds valid. We can't seem to get a turnover to save our lives. Makes sense. So yeah, 0 interceptions. We got 2 turnovers. I think one of them by special teams, and there was a defensive turnover from. I'm sorry, a fumble turnover. So not good, really. This was a defense that was a top 3 defense just a couple years ago to this. Not how you wanted to kind of see the season going, but it is what it is. Mystery injuries for both quarterbacks. I said the same thing. It just seemed kind of comical. Now, I'll say this. I said when I saw this, I felt like the New York Jets watched that freaking Indiana versus Ohio State game, and then they saw how well how well Mendoza played, and then they were like, "Hey, Tyrod, you're looking a little tight there, man, with that hamstring. You're not playing tomorrow." And that's the vibe I got from how quickly they pulled the trigger on bringing out Cook. And this is just so happens to be after we just watched Mendoza do to the Ohio State defense what hasn't been done to them all year. So yeah, I thought it was kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. Next 4 weeks is definitely the replacements 2.0. Yeah, it's gonna be funny. Bring in Shane Falco. Speaking of Shane Falco, y'all saw the Colts brought in Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers signed a contract today to be on their practice squad. So you know what? That's a great transition to the 2026 NFL draft. So we obviously lost this game, and I know there's a lot of the tankathon members, people who want the Jets to tank, who are ecstatic we lost this game. Because as we lost this game, I think the Tennessee Titans won a game. New Orleans also won a game. And Washington lost. They got dealt to ass. They didn't even score a point. It was kind of embarrassing. And they had freaking Jaden Daniels, and that was embarrassing. Anyway, the Colts lost. And I'll never celebrate injuries. I refuse to. I think that it takes away from the game. I think that you compete against teams at their fullest, and that allows you to really. Football's all about pretty much going like man to man, mano a mano, like your best versus our best, and then to see who's really the best. So I love that aspect of NFL football. So injuries suck. They do. Unfortunately for the Colts, they lose their quarterback, Daniel Jones, who was out there already on one leg and got injured, torn Achilles out for the season. You're talking about in 9 to 10 month, recovery. And, it could be worse because you don't know. It all depends on how his body adapts. It could be further than that. So you're talking about 9 to 10 month recovery. Now the Colts are in a situation where they're very much in the same boat as we are. Going into the next year, we were talking about what bridge quarterback could we bring in to possibly get us to the 2027 quarterback. Now the funny thing is, for the Colts, it won't matter 2026 or 2027 because you don't have draft picks. You don't have the first round draft pick necessary to go get a franchise guy. And again, I know you can find them anywhere in the draft, but statistically speaking, you usually find those guys in the earlier rounds. You don't get the first round pick. So it's going to make it that much more difficult for you to go ahead and find a quarterback to come on your team that's pretty well built. The Colts have the line, they've got the running back, they've got the wide receivers. The coaching staff is pretty solid. They're a well-rounded team. I mean, let's be honest. They had people calling Daniel Jones Indiana Jones, like there was a resurgence of who he was. I mean, over the last several weeks, we kind of saw him kind of revert back to Danny Dimes. But nevertheless, like this was the team just 4 weeks ago that was number one in the AFC. They held they were they had the 32nd overall pick for the first round, right? We traded them Sauce Gardner. Since then, they've gone 1-4. And now they went from being first in the AFC to in the hunt graphic for the playoffs. That's the life comes at you fast. The Colts went from number one in the AFC to now they're in the hunt. Now here's where it's great for the New York Jets fans. When we thought, okay, it was going to be a late, late first round pick. A lot of people were saying like you traded Sauce Gardner for what's wind up going to be a second round pick because they're on fire. They're going to go ahead and wind up freaking finishing or making the Super Bowl. And it's a 29 to 32 overall pick. Might as well be a second. And then next year they'll keep building. People were saying this, that we played ourselves. You gave up Sauce Gardner for what would probably equate to the value of, one good first round pick because they're going to be so late in the first round. And currently, as it stands, the Indianapolis Colts have the 18th overall pick with 4 games to go, with no quarterback. Granted, they just brought in Phillip Rivers, and they're hoping Phillip Rivers can be the savior. But again, Phillip Rivers hasn't played football since 2020. He's 44 years old. The dude has grandkids. But they're right now in a situation where there really isn't another option. The Colts are in a situation where there's no savior walking through that door. The trade deadline has passed. You can't trade for somebody. You can't quit on this season because you're still technically you're the top in the hunt freaking team there is out there. So you got to make a move. Now I've never wished for injuries on anybody. I think that's low direction to go. If you're a sports fan, you want to see these guys playing when they're healthy. But that injury is to me is just like, wow, that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like you trade away 2 of your best players in Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams. Both those teams caught L's over this past week. So those draft picks got better. And now you're talking about, the Colts who invested their future into Daniel Jones might not get him back until October, November of next year. So you're talking about next year might be a wash for them too. And the draft pick we currently have now from the Colts can get as high as 13 to 15. And I'm telling you now, I think it's going to get that high because you're looking at the remainder of their schedule. They got the Texans, the Jaguars. I think it's the Patriots or hold on, I got to pull them up. But their last 4 games are brutal. They're brutal. And you look at they got the Seahawks, the Texans, the Jaguars, and then I want to say it's the Texans or the Jaguars again. One of the two. So their last 4 games were against playoff teams, and they have no quarterback. They've got Phillip Rivers now, but let's be honest, they've got no quarterback. And I look at what that means for us. That means the Jets could get anywhere from the 13th overall pick to the 15th overall pick. Now we're going to talk about what the tankathon people would love for us to do. They've been talking about getting the first overall pick and to tank for it to get that because that's the way to turn this thing around. Like, what are we doing? Why are we wasting time? And I've been opposed. I think that you build the culture and then you go ahead and make sure the players have confidence, the coaching staff has confidence. Then you bring in the young players like the quarterback, whatnot, to come change things. I still believe that. I still believe that we shouldn't trade up for a quarterback. I think right now with some of the talent coming out in this draft that we could fill some holes. That can be benefit to our quarterback of the future next year. But again, I listen to other content creators, man, and I listen to other Jets fans' perspectives, and the thought that this coaching staff would have until next year is kind of naive, right? Because again, you're seeing the MetLife Stadium, the home games empty. No one's showing up. It's like Jets fans finally decided like enough is enough. We're gonna watch these games from home. We're gonna go ahead and root for our team from home because when we go into these freaking games and we're there with the opposing team, we're just getting embarrassed, and we're paying to get embarrassed. So it was too much. So there's no guarantee that this freaking coaching staff, if they don't produce a respectable season next year, are going to be here for that 2027 draft. And you're talking about 3 first round picks, you know what I'm saying, and a second round, and I think it's 1 or 2 second round picks. So like 5 picks potentially, you know what I'm saying, in the first 2 rounds. You're not gonna waste that opportunity if you don't believe this coaching staff is it. So I think they're gonna have to make a decision this year. I think they're going to have to make a decision this year. And as much as I'd love to say that we need more things, if you don't have the quarterback, we all know this, you don't have anything. Quarterback, coaching, culture, and those are going to be the things that allow you to expand on your roster. So currently, as it stands, right? Let me go ahead and share this screen. So how do the Jets get their guy, right? Like, is it even possible? So in order to get their guy, like I think the comp that was put out there was the Jets can trade both of their first round picks and a second round pick from this draft, and they would be able to move up to the number 1 overall pick if they so chose. If they believe that Fernando Mendoza is the guy, they'd be able to trade to move up to that pick. And the reason being is currently the New York Giants hold that pick, and the Giants believe they got their guy in Jackson Dart. So let's talk real draft math. So again, no feelings, not mock drafts, just actual probability and leverage. So everyone keeps asking the same question, right? Do the Jets use an early second round pick this year, or will they give up a first round pick for next year to move up? So let's break it down. Wait a minute, we've got a super chat. Got to go ahead and show some love for that. Okay, we've got RJ Macpot 720. What's up, RJ? Appreciate you, man. Appreciate the super chat. Hey, can we power rank who do we want in our top 3 teams for trade up possibilities? Can't decide if I rather the Commies or the Titans at number 1. I'll tell you right now. I would hate. I'll tell you right now. I would hate to have to give the Giants assets to get better. If I'm being honest, just because it's the Giants, they're our crosstown cousins, and I don't like some of their players. So because of that, I'm gonna automatically just wish they continue to suck miserably. So ideally, if I'm being honest, I would love it to be the Titans or the Commanders. Yeah, I think I'm with you on that one, man. I think you said Commanders. I think Titans are coming at number 1. I'm okay with either one of them because they're not going quarterback. They're going to probably go wide receiver. They might get some help on the defense. They'll have options, but quarterback ain't one of them. So they'd be a nice team, a team I'd be willing to trade with that I don't feel bad about or that I hate. So I'm down with either or. Plus, if Washington gets better, that's in the division of the Giants. That hurts them too. I'm all about that. But yeah, great question. I mean, I put in the chat, like, what do you guys want? Would you guys rather trade with the Giants, the Titans, or the Commanders? Because I believe Vegas, I believe the Browns, and I believe New Orleans all want quarterbacks. And if they get the number 1 pick, you're not getting it. They're not going to trade out of that, no matter what. I've heard some people say like you can offer them enough to make that trade, but that'd be foolish if they believe that their quarterback is the guy. And again, Mendoza put on a show against Ohio that makes them believe that, man, that kid is him. All right. So currently we got I'm gonna turn off my name. Hide that. All right. So currently the New York Giants are 2-11. Vegas 2-11, Tennessee's 2-11, Cleveland 3-10, New Orleans 3-10, Washington 3-10, Jets 3-10, Arizona 3-10, Atlanta 4-9, and then Cincy 4-9. So these are the top 10 teams with draft picks. or top 10 teams that could get to number one reasonably easily, if that makes any sense, like in terms of compensation to get to. Now again, the benefit of this is the higher you are in the draft order, the more value your draft pick is, so you don't have to trade up as much assets to get that number one pick. So I saw some people talking about like, oh yeah, if it only took a first and a second to trade up, I'd eat a hat. I don't remember who tweeted that, but they're under people just they're under the impression that like a first round it all has the same value, but they don't. They just don't. Like there's values to each draft pick, and I'm going to put up that chart so we can go over that as well. But 2026 draft order, there it is right now. So it's Giants, Vegas, Giants, Raiders, Titans, Browns, Saints, Commanders, Jets. If you look at the schedule, I actually feel pretty comfortable with saying the teams in front of us will probably win another game before we do. The only game I think we have a shot at is the Saints game. I'm going to be at that Saints game in a couple of weeks. I think the Jets will lose that game, but that would be the game where I look at, I'm like, we have a shot at potentially jumping up to that. So I'm going to argue and state that the Jets probably finish fifth. I don't know if we're going to lose. It's going to be bad enough to go ahead and get to first overall. I don't think our team is that bad enough to be the first overall pick, which is a huge benefit to be willing to trade up, because again, the Giants did it for freaking Eli Manning in 2004. They weren't the worst team in the NFL. I think they were like the fifth pick, and they made the trade to trade for Eli Manning after he was drafted, and it worked out for them because again, they weren't the worst team in the NFL, so they did have talent. And the Chargers wind up getting Phillip Rivers, oddly enough, who I think had a much better career than Eli Manning. But like no Super Bowls, right? They didn't win a ring. Ultimately, the whole purpose of this whole thing is to get the ring. If you don't get it, who cares? So Phillip Rivers wound up going to the Chargers, and Eli went to the Giants. But Giants, again, were like fourth or fifth pick, which means they weren't the worst team in the NFL at the time, which would be the same situation for the Jets here. So you go fourth or fifth, and you're not the worst team in the NFL, and you decide, like, you know what? You got to get this kid because you can win games with this dude. Now, again, I don't want to try. I don't want to trade up. I don't want to trade up for any quarterback in this draft. If we were going to do that, I would rather wait for the 2027 draft. But let's just be real here and assume that these guys aren't going to have the opportunity to do that. So, what would it cost for the Jets to go from the fifth overall pick to the first overall pick if they believe that their guy Mendoza was the guy, that he's who they wanted to go ahead and bring in, he was going to bring us to the promised land and make us relevant again, then they want to go ahead and make that move. Again, I'm telling you, I don't want to do it. I think you can go ahead and get some studs. I think the best player in this draft class is Arvell Reese. I don't think it's like, you know what I'm saying? I don't think it's freaking Mendoza. I think he's the best quarterback in this draft class. But for me, I think Arvell Reese is better. I'm a big fan of freaking the kid from Clemson. I think Woods is probably better. Yeah, man. I mean, I don't have Fernando Mendoza as the top talent in this draft class. So if top talent drops down to you and you're able to go ahead and build up your roster, I think that's saying a lot. But again, I digress. Let's talk about what it would cost. Let's just say the Jets believe he's the guy. You know, half the fan base already loves Fernando. I love Fernando Mendoza. I do. I just don't think we should trade for him. But I'm not the GM. I'm not getting paid to make that decision. So they're now it's draft day and they got to make a decision. So I hope you guys can see this. So based off of the Jimmy Johnson model, right, in terms of the valuation, a first overall pick is worth 3,000 points. 3,000 points. Now, earlier today, that mock draft came out and it said the Jets were going to trade both their first and their second round pick to go ahead and move to number one. And some people think it's insane. And I'm saying if we were going to have to sacrifice to get the quarterback, or the coaching staff to get the quarterback they believe is the guy, I think this price is very fair. In fact, I think it's cheap in comparison to what I would have expected to go up and get your guy, if he's your guy. So 3,000 points is the point value, right? So the Jets would have 1,700 points, if they got the fifth overall pick, or if they stayed where they are, we're talking about 1,500 points at the seventh overall pick. So at worst case, they're at 1,500 points for, again, this year's calculations. I'm going to talk about why next year's will be, more costly. So now we're going to go down to the current 18th overall pick, which is currently held by the Colts. I'm telling y'all, that pick is going to get to 15. At least. So it's 13 to 15 based off of the remaining schedule and, of course, some wins and losses. But, like, they are going to be in that realm, right? If they lose out. They're going to lose out. You don't have a quarterback, which is going to take away from your run game because now no one's going to be afraid of the quarterback. Like, it's going to be rough, especially against the teams you're about to play, who are all fighting for playoff spots and currently hold playoff slots, actually. And now you got to go ahead and play. So again, I'm gonna be cool and say they get to 15. Currently it's 18, get to 15. So now you're at 1,050 points. So 1,050 points plus your we're gonna go with we'll go with 8. We'll pick 7. 1,500 points, put you at 2,550. So right there, you're at 2,550 in terms of valuation to get to 3,000 points necessary. So you go into the second round, and the Jets are going to finish pretty early on in that 36. I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So boom, 510 points. If they finish with the the seventh overall pick, 510 points. There's your 3,000 points right there. The math adds up. I mean, the data points are there. That if they wanted to trade up to go and get their quarterback, get the number one overall pick, and again, you're going to need it to be either the Giants, the Titans, or the Commanders that have the first overall pick. If Vegas, if Browns, if Saints got it, I'm sorry, you're not moving up. They're going to keep that pick. I know some people say, well, what about the Browns? Shedeur Sanders. I don't know if that coaching staff believes in Shedeur Sanders. There was a rumor that apparently, Shedeur Sanders is being treated like shit because his dad, Dion, threw water on the grandfather or father-in-law of Stefanski. I don't know how true that is, but that's the rumor going on right now, that he hates Shedeur because of what his dad did to his dad. So it is what it is. They're not either way. I think they would go after a quarterback. I don't think they're going to go ahead and trade out of that pick. I don't know if they believe in Shedeur Sanders. Maybe Shedeur can change that with the next 4 games. He had a really, really good game this past weekend. Maybe he changes their minds. Time will tell. But the Jets could literally make this trade, and we're talking about freaking. It would cost you a first and a second in this year's draft. Now, some people say, well, why wouldn't we just give a first from next year's draft? Because the point values change. Because you're not going to know that it's worth this many points or that many points. So even if you were to say we'll do next year's first, you might wind up getting the equivalent value of this year's second because of the fact that it's an unknown valuation. Because you might win the Super Bowl and it's a 32nd overall pick, right? So like that math doesn't benefit the overall point structure because that's a 590 freaking point freaking valuation, again, based off of the Jimmy Johnson model, which apparently is still kind of utilized by a lot of general managers. The Jets can get to number one by literally giving up a 1 and a 2 in this year's draft, and they would still have the first, which would be the first overall pick, and they would still have their second overall pick. They would still have their picks to continue filling out this draft, not to mention $100,000 in freaking cap space. So if they believe that freaking Mendoza is their guy, they can go get him. Again, mind you, we would need Giants, Titans, or Commanders to lose out, right? They can go get their guy. So this whole concept that we had to suck and we had the tank we didn't need to. We're in a situation right now where the Jets could still get the number one guy if they so chose, based off of the current point chart valuations to get there. We've got so many assets that we can afford to do that. Now, I'm not a fan of it because I think there's more pieces we need before we bring in a quarterback that we can have the skill set around him for them to go ahead and be great. That's my thought process. I look at what the top players are in this coming draft, and I'm not gonna lie to you, like I think Arvell Reese is the number one guy. I do. I think Arvell Reese is the number one guy in this year's draft class. Some say it's Jeremiah Love. I don't think we should be We've got Brees Hall, pay Brees Hall. We're good. Peter Woods. Peter Woods from Clemson is the guy that I was talking about, defensive tackle. That dude's a dog. Not sure how I feel about Ruben. I really haven't watched much of him, so I wouldn't know. Same thing with Spencer. I know Caleb Downs is a dog. This is where it gets crazy to me. So 7 is Ty Simpson. I think that's a joke. Um, I like Keldrick Falk, edge. So that's another individual that could be it. David Bailey. You've got some edge guys. We need another edge because right now we just don't got the dogs. JJ is good, not great. You know what I'm saying? Like we need a guy. So for me, if Arvell Reese is available at pick 5 or pick 7, wherever we're at, I think that's the guy. Like I think that you bring him on, you instantly fix that linebacker concern we have, and this is the guy who can also line up at edge that can get after the quarterback. I love Arvell Reese's game. It's been fun watching him play football. I do believe he's the lone blue chipper in this draft class. But then you got, Mendoza right here and Dante Moore at the bottom. Dante Moore is considered to be the 11th best prospect in this coming draft. And then you've got 16 for Mendoza. I think this chart is insane. I think Mendoza's definitely better than Ty Simpson and or a guy like Dante Moore. I would say Dante Moore's ceiling's probably higher, but his floor is lower, right? Whereas Mendoza has a higher floor and his ceiling remains to be seen. But yeah, I would rather we go the route of building the roster up. So whenever we get a dude in the building to play quarterback, he's not having to do it all. He doesn't have to be Superman. Trevor Lawrence was the number 1 overall pick. He's been trashed until you get a coaching staff in there and then put support around him. Now his team is playing team ball and they're in the playoffs. Caleb Williams has been trashed, right? But you put the team around him and the coach around him and they're able to play team ball and they're looking like they're going to make the playoffs. I mean, I know they just dropped like number 7 or something in the NFC because they lost to the Packers. Loved seeing it. But again, the team is good enough that he doesn't have to be a hero, even though he tries to be. And that's my mindset. I don't want us to get in a situation where we want to go ahead and throw everything at the quarterback position and then hope and pray that's going to fix everything, because it hasn't been the case for us. We've drafted Sam Darnold, who was deemed to be the number 1 quarterback in that draft class, and he dropped to us, I think, in number 3. We got him. Zach Wilson, he was trash, right? I know we didn't want him. I wanted Justin Fields. Look how wrong I would have been about that aspect. Trevor Lawrence, that Trevor Lawrence is generational talent. We haven't seen that. So you look at, Brock Purdy's the best quarterback from that draft class, and that's crazy to me. Again, I digress. You can find quarterbacks, you know what I'm saying? And again, I still am a fan of freaking us bringing in Drew Aller as our quarterback. See how that works out. I don't understand the hate. I don't understand how this kid went from being a first round pick last year. I think the top 3 quarterback pick last year to now people are saying he's a scrub. He's probably going to go in like the 4th or the 5th round. Crazy works to me, but to each their own. But again, going back to the individuals who love Mendoza, and again, I do love Mendoza. I just don't want to trade for him. I don't want to give up assets to get him because I don't know if we're there to where we're not going to just have the same situation of a Sam Darnold, of a Zach Wilson, and he has to go somewhere else and go win them a ring. Like, that's the frustrating part. But if you just wanted to do it, the price to do so is not something that that would kill anyone. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I would be upset that we got Mendoza on the roster. Again, I think he's the best quarterback option in this draft class. I would root for the kid. I would want to see him succeed. I'd be excited that we have a quarterback that at least provides hope in terms of being the guy. Because again, they're all lottery picks. We have no clue how they're going to turn out. But Mendoza, to me, if you were going to trade the assets, he's the guy you trade him for. Otherwise, you have the ability to go ahead and add pieces to the wide receiver room, you know what I'm saying, to the defensive line, linebacker core, like whatever you want to do, you can do it with the amount of arsenal that you have. But again, if it's going to cost you a first and a second to get your guy, I don't think that's expensive. I don't. And again, some people say that's unrealistic, but again, the chart is the chart, and the way the Colts season is turning out, oddly enough, seems to have favored us into being able to make that move to where it's more palatable as a fan base, even for those of us who want to see wins and don't want to trade up. If they trade up and Mendoza is the guy, and we can tell by year 1 or year 2 that, wow, we got a franchise quarterback, none of us are going to care. I'm not going to care. You're not going to care. None of us are going to care. If Mendoza winds up being the dude, we're gonna be like, wow, we got him for a first and a second. Bargain. Absolute bargain. And none of us are going to care. I'll tell you this. I love Mendoza's demeanor. I love the way he processes. I love his passion for the game. I love his relationship with God. All that stuff hits well with me. And I love his game on the field. I think the guy can give you a combination of mobility. He can make all the throws. He doesn't have the biggest arm, but he can get it down there when need be. And he's a high IQ. Like, again, it's hard not to like the kid. So for me, if he becomes a Jet, I'm going to be happy about it. Now, if you're telling me we traded freaking 4 first-round picks, and then I'm losing my mind if that's the case. But if the cost to bring in Fernando Mendoza into one Jets drive is we give up a first and a second to move up and get him, I can live with that. I can live with that. Not my first move, not what I want to do, but if that's the move, I can live with that. Dano says, Arfel Reese or Trey Will McDonald and take Baines. Okay. All right. See, I haven't seen it. You said Baines. So Ruben Bain, I'm assuming from Miami is what you're referring to, right? So I haven't seen enough Bain to know how good he is, but I've seen a lot of you guys talk about him in social media. I might have to actually just actually go see what this kid's about. So Infrared Jets, which was at Mendoza's Penn State game, he had his staff actually visit the Hoosiers in 4 games this year. Another fun fact. That's true. I will say this. It does look like the front office likes Mendoza. Dare I say love him. And then you're talking about like top tier guys have been going to go watch this game. See, when your GM is at your game watching you play, man, that's saying a lot in regards to what they're thinking. And this is why I said, like, it's just kind of funny that he watched that game. They saw Mendoza do that to Ohio State, and then all of a sudden, like, man, it looks like you're not feeling too good, Tyrod. We're gonna go ahead and let Cook play this game. Like, again, I'm not saying they're tanking, but I'm just saying, like, it was kind of odd that's how that thing kind of played out. Dano with a super chat. Appreciate you, Dano. Is it time to change Will McDonald's nickname to Pea Shooter? Yeah, so Will McDonald has not impressed this year, man. He's been very inconsistent. Like the spin move no longer has the effect that it once did. I know they were talking about how he put on some weight. We really haven't seen him get stronger, right? He's still kind of a speed rusher, not a guy who can really set the edge very well. Yeah, like Will McDonald has definitely regressed, but the sophomore slump, it's a real thing. It affects more than just quarterbacks, guys. This could be Will McDonald's sophomore slump. But it could also be, what the heck just happened? But it could also be that it's Steve Wilkes being a bum. That's also a possibility. I look at Steve Wilkes, and I'm not going to give him the benefit of a doubt. I don't know if he's putting these guys in the best position to win football games, and that's concerning because that's his freaking job. But no, Will McDonald definitely has disappointed this year, and he's got some improving to do, and got to do it fast if you want to go ahead and see any kind of success. Kel goes, well, hold on. Infrared said this. Muji was part of the drafting of Bo Nix for the Broncos. And I'll tell you this, I don't think Bo Nix is that good. I don't think Bo Nix is good at all. Again, team ball is working over there for them, and they're winning games on the backs of the defense, the running game, all that good stuff. But I don't think Bo Nix is that good at all. And I mean, I'm hoping Muji learned from that as well. And this is another reason why I think like Mendoza would be a Muji, like a Muji guy, right? A little bit of mobility, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have the biggest arm, but he's big bodied. Bo Nix is genuinely a good dude, right? Character wise. And you would say the same about Mendoza's a good dude, character wise. I don't know. I'm again, if you're telling me the price is going to be one first round pick and a second round pick to get the quarterback that you love, that you believe can change this thing around, and then a year from now, we're all sitting here on this podcast, we're hanging out at the hangar, and we're talking about like, yo, Mendoza did this and Mendoza did that, and then we realize it only cost us a first rounder and a second rounder that belonged to other. Like, to me, I think that's a win. You would have in essence traded Sauce Gardner for a franchise quarterback. I mean, I'm sorry, Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams for a franchise quarterback. And anybody who would debate or argue that's a win, we've had the top defense in the NFL before. What has it done for us? We've had all pro Sauce Gardner and all pro Quentin Williams on the same roster before, and we had the number one defense in the NFL. What did it do for us? Nothing. Nothing. So it's 2025, man, and the NFL has changed trajectory. You've got to win with offense and complementary football. So if we have a top 15 defense and a top 10 offense, you'll win more games than if you were to have the top number one defense and the number 30 or 25 offense or whatever it's going to be. So I'll take the franchise quarterback traded for a defensive tackle and a cornerback. I'll do it. I'll do it. And that will be what it would be if Mendoza winds up panning out. Kel goes, hire Eric Bieniemy from the Bears as your offensive coordinator. Let Tanner Angstrom go. I mean, I've loved Eric Bieniemy, man. I think he's gotten a bit of a I don't know, man. He's been sidelined a lot. Everybody kept saying that it was freaking Andy Reid, and I mean, obviously Andy Reid calls plays, but then now you've got Tanner Angstrom doing the same thing with Ben Johnson when Ben Johnson calls plays. I don't know if he can do it himself, but I do believe he's been around some geniuses that he should be able to pick up on some things that can really elevate an offense. I don't know if I'm ready to quit on Tanner yet, though, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. I like the guy. I like the youth infusion of a Tanner Angstrom and what he can bring to this freaking offense. Could he be the next great offensive mind when you give him the proper tools to work with? Like my mindset is there and wanting to see what he looks like. But man, Eric Bieniemy though, would he leave the Bears to come to the Jets to be the offensive coordinator? He's kind of got it pretty good right now under Ben Johnson. The Bears are winning. You'd probably have to give him like a co-head coach title or something for him to probably leave there. So Miguel goes, David Bailey is a beast. Texas Tech is my school. Been watching all the Red Raider games. Jacob Rodriguez's second or third round pick would be awesome. Yeah, like I'm going to start getting into the weeds in regards to the draft now because obviously we're officially eliminated from the playoffs and draft season is like right around the corner. I think again, this draft I've been told is a weak draft, but I've seen a lot of defensive guys and wide receivers that would help this roster immensely. So our arsenal of picks could go a long way into bettering this roster this offseason. So, which is another reason why I'm like, the quarterback thing, I can wait. If we have to wait till next year where it's got a deeper, richer, more high ceiling level of players available for the quarterback position. But again, I digress. Infrared, draft Mendoza and have him sit. Sign Mac Jones. No. Lost me there. I want nothing to do with Mac Jones. That dude is one of the. So, if you've ever played sports, and the majority of us have played sports, there's always that one person on the team that you couldn't stand. That one person that, you know what I'm saying, like if they got knocked out or fouled hard, you weren't helping them out, you didn't care. They were just scum. They were on the team, but they weren't a teammate of yours. You wouldn't consider them a teammate, but they were on your team. That's freaking Mac Jones. Patriots didn't like him. They weren't helping him up whenever he was getting freaking kicked down. The dude's dirty, kicking people in the nuts all the time, grabbing stuff. Like I've seen too much from Mac Jones. I don't want him anywhere near my freaking roster. I don't want him impacting this culture at all. Like he's not liked. Players don't like him. I as hell don't like him. Mac Jones is that dude. He's on your team, but he's not a teammate. The dude's not good enough to be the jerk that he was with the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? And to be the jerk that he was and going after like other players and grabbing ankles and twisting and hitting them in the nuts and stuff. No, hell no. You lost me at Mac Jones. I'm with the whole Mendoza having to sit. And I'd be okay if you could pull Jameis Winston from the Giants or Jacoby Brissett or even a Kirk Cousins for that year. Keep Mac Jones away from my team, man. That dude is he's like the Nakamakunsu. What was that dude's name, man, from the Detroit Lions, who was just a dirty ass player. Everybody hated his guts. Defensive tackle, Nakamakunsu. That Mac Jones is like the version of that. Nah, I'm good. I love the idea of sitting Mendoza, but Mac Jones, nah. He's a scumbag. I couldn't imagine him being on my team. Mendoza loves and breathes football. I was wrong about him earlier this year. He's legit. No, 100%. When I first started hearing about Mendoza, man, I was uncertain, right? And in my head, I thought to myself, it's Indiana, man, relax. It's just Indiana. But again, as he started picking up speed, I started watching more of his games, Ty Simpson games, Dante Moore games, and Mendoza just jumps off the charts for me because it's not just on the field, but like he's a legitimately good dude, and he, like you said, loves and breathes football. The dude is passionate about this game. People that are that passionate about the game, man, tend to go ahead and do everything they can to see success at this level. And I think, like for him, it's not just about, I want to get to the NFL to make money. I want to get to the NFL to do that. He talks about how his teammates or his brothers, and like he really finds joy in the team aspect of it, of the buildup of it. And this is a guy coming from a program that hasn't been great. Indiana's been trashed for God knows how long, and then now they just won the Big Ten championship, and I think they're gonna probably make it to the freaking the college football championship. So he knows what winning looks like, and he knows what a bad organization looks like that needs an infusion of winning. Everything about the kid says he could be the dude. But again, they're all lottery picks, man. They're all lottery picks until you put on the big boy pads and put them on an NFL football field. Dano goes, except at that price, he must be the dude or we're cannibalizing each other. I don't understand. At that price, he must be the dude or we're cannibalizing each other. Dano, elaborate on that further because I want to get to that, and that'll probably be the last one I answer tonight. It's already been an hour and change for the hangout, and I got work in the morning. Infrared. Mendoza has good football IQ. We need that in my lifetime. Nah, true. The dude, he's really got it all, man. Like the only thing is he doesn't have a big arm. He doesn't have that big arm that, you know what I'm saying, you would want for a guy who's going to be playing on the East Coast outdoors in the cold. But he can make all the throws, right? He can make all the throws. He's tough as nails. Listen, watching him take that hit first drive of the Ohio game, I was just like, wow, we're going to miss out on seeing this kid play in this game. I thought he was done. Now my man got up, walked to the sideline, took his one snap off, and then came right back out. I was like, wow, okay, boom, check. Toughness, nah, it's there. So the guy he wants to play. Did not want to let his teammates down, want to be out there for them, tough as nails. And he took hits. This is so you know how we would always talk about like how like Ty Simpson and Dante Moore, you can see it if you watch their tape. Once you start getting to them, once you start hitting them, those guys don't like getting hit. And that's just anybody really, right, in football. They just don't like getting hit. But can you go ahead and stay focused, stay locked in, and play your position even though you know you're going to get hit? Yeah, I mean, like the other day we just saw freaking, I think it was Jalen Hurts get scared of getting hit, and he alligator armed a catch that wound up becoming an interception against the Chargers. You don't want that. You want a guy that knows he's going to get hit but still do his job. Mendoza does that. He took some hits, man, knew it was going to happen, but he sat there, took the hits, and did his job. So again, if you get Mendoza, and it's only going to cost you a first and a second, it's hard to be mad at that if he winds up living to what he can be. If the lottery ticket hits, no one cares that they've been spending, $2 every freaking year or every freaking month trying to hit the jackpot. Because once you hit the jackpot, it's a dub. So all the hundreds you've wasted trying to go ahead and get that jackpot, you don't care. You made it. You hit the jackpot. Same concept here, right? So if Mendoza winds up being the guy, like you did it, you hit the lotto. Like all the suffering we've dealt with, like it is we've hit the lotto. And that's what you're hoping for. If the Jets go for Mendoza, they better make sure you have the right OC to match. I do not believe in Tanner Ancient. And that's fair, right? Tanner hasn't really shown us anything that would indicate to us that he's him. Like, I said he's shown me glimpses that I like, and I would like to see how much further he's got with competent quarterback play. But if he's the kind of guy that, by midseason you're realizing, like, you're going to get my quarterback, then yeah, he's got to go. I'm not saying he's got a forever leash. I'm just saying we really haven't seen what he's capable of with the limited resources, especially at the quarterback position. But there's been times that he's been able to even make freaking, shine a turd like Justin Fields and make him look good behind center. So I think with competent quarterback, like there might be another level to his ability to call a game. But again, I'm with you. He hasn't earned anything. This is just me going off of my gut, and I like the guy, so I would like to see him with competent quarterback play. But he doesn't have a long leash. I'm not gonna give you a chance to ruin our quarterback just because I like you. If you're not showing that you're able to put him into positions to win games on Sundays, and I mean like early on, and we realize, nope, this is above your head, my boy. Yeah, and then you got to make a move. I agree, Brother Kel. That's where Angstrom would have to watch plenty of tape on Mendoza and his OC and see what worked for Mendoza over there. And honestly, I think they're doing that. I think that you don't have the GM going to watch this kid play if your head coach and your offensive coordinator didn't tell you like, yo, I can do some things with this guy. Right? I think both of them have probably been in on the whole like, yo, this kid's the truth. I can do this and I can do that. I can get creative with this. Like you've had these conversations for your GM to take that flight and go watch the kid play live. I think that's already happened. Noza plays great and wins CFP, and the cost of him will be 3 number 3s and probably 3 number 2s. But that's just not how it works, though. Sharp instincts, and I get what you're saying, right? But again, so this is why this isn't how this works. So the Giants aren't gonna say, okay, there's a bidding war. So the Saints can offer 3 first-round picks, but that's a first round this year, a first round next year, and then a first rounder in 2028. The value of each first round pick as years are added on get less and less. That 2028 or 2029 draft pick that you would be giving them because you only have one a year would wind up being the equivalent of the 3,000 they can get this year in terms of 2 first round draft picks and a high second round draft pick, understanding that value. So, and a lot of people think like, oh, nah, it's going to be adding this. It's just not the case because the values of each pick moving forward, each year, the values of the picks are less because they're unknown. You don't know. You can guesstimate like how a team's going to do, but you can either again lottery ticket. You can go ahead and keep again the lottery ticket and hoping that you're gonna hit on a number, or you should know like, hey, this lottery ticket I paid $2 for it, and I know it's worth freaking 50. People are gonna buy a bunch of those $2 the lottery tickets because of the guaranteed 50. Same concept because you're talking about the Browns, the Saints, and the Raiders. There's no telling how well they'll do over the next few years. Unless you're the Browns because they suck. So the Browns, you're guaranteed to have a high pick because they're just bad. But what if Shedeur Sanders is a hit? And Shedeur Sanders winds up being a stud, right? And then he winds up beating out whoever they – you see what I'm saying? Like, there's levels to it. So we can offer – no one can offer more than us unless you're the Rams. Unless the Rams wanted wanted Mendoza. But even their draft pick's going to be, a high first – and they'll have the Atlanta Falcons draft pick at pick, I think right now is currently 9. But we'll be able to offer them between 5 and 7 and between 13 and 15 this year. And then it's going to be 38, 39 next year. Like that valuation is set. That, for example, if you want to give them a first rounder next year, it's like 600 points for any. That's just the guesstimate, right, of next year. So I don't think it's going to cost that much because the value is just not there. Most of these GMs go off of this freaking value chart in regards to making these draft pick trades. And the Jets have all the arsenal. And if they overpay, it's because they're dumb. Because nobody can go ahead and guarantee whoever they trade to the, 3 top 40 draft picks in this draft. Like now, here you go. We get your first overall pick. You've got your quarterback already. Here's 340. There's 3 freaking draft picks in the top 40 for you to add stuff around your current quarterback or what. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, coaches and GMs aren't thinking about, hey, maybe 4 years from now we can spend that last first round draft. They might not be here, especially when you're picking this high up. You don't have the confidence of knowing you're secured to do this over and over and over again. So that's why. When I've heard, and it's not just you, Sharp Instincts, a lot of people have said, like, oh, it's going to be like 4 this, and that's the math's not there. He could go ahead and throw for 500 yards and freaking 8 touchdowns in that game. the math's not there for whoever you're trading up to because again, it's going to be a team that already has their quarterback. If it's the Giants, they got their guy. If it's the freaking Commanders, they got their guy. They need to put things around their guy now, not when their contract expires in 3-4 years. So they've got to go ahead and get the known commodities now, and they can look at the freaking draft board, move things around. And if you know what's cool is if you don't like what you have come that second first round pick or early second round pick, that early second round pick if you trade it, is worth the equivalent of a first round pick for next year. So you've got that also in your bag. So you can turn the 2 first and a second into 3 first round picks because you've got that already valued second round pick. So I really don't think it's going to cost that much. I also believe the Jets are going to go ahead and be in that 4 to 7 range, right? And that means it's a very high value first pick. I believe the Colts are going to go ahead and go on a losing streak. You're talking about 13 to 15 range. Another very high draft pick in terms of valuation, which puts our second rounder again in the top 40. So you're talking about 3 picks in the top 40. It's a 3,000 point of value based off of the overall value of the first overall pick. There's not going to be many teams. If you wanted to be a jerk or to secure it, the Jets can go, okay, we're going to do the 2 first rounds, a second, and we'll throw in a third from next year's draft class. Because again, you're that would be 3 years worth of valuation points that the team that the Giants or the freaking Commanders don't want to wait on because they've got to go ahead and add pieces around their guy now because there's no guarantee that this GM and the coach is going to be there in 3 years to actually use those draft picks. And that's how the numbers make sense. I don't see Dano asking this question again because I wanted to go ahead and get clarity. All right. That's hold on. That's what it has to say about. Okay, boom. Tanner is a used car salesman. Tanner is a used car. That seems harsh. It's not an all-in season next year where they're gonna get Jones for the low, bro. I think Jones is a culture wrecker. And that's why I don't want him. Like you're right, it's not all in season. It's I'm not saying he would be here long, but I think he's the kind of person that can go ahead and create discord amongst the team, and at the quarterback position that can become cancerous very fast. Think Geno Smith. What happened to Geno Smith? Got punched right in the freaking face, broken right, like, and that was the team. The teammates didn't care, right, because he had already become this persona within that locker room that wasn't beloved. Mac Jones would, I think, set back the development of the culture of the locker room if we bring him in. I can't do it, man. I can't do it. Mendoza doesn't have Josh Allen. No, he does not. No, he does not. Mendoza and Josh Allen are 2 different types of quarterbacks. Josh Allen is not human. He's not human. But I would argue that Mendoza has a higher football IQ than Josh Allen at this stage. You know what I'm saying? So again, once you get to the NFL, things get sped up. We'll see. But if you're talking about going at this stage of their careers, Mendoza's more accurate and has a better football IQ. And those things transition significantly faster and more consistently at the NFL level than having a rocket arm, you know what I'm saying, being mobile, like Josh Allen had coming in. So again, they're 2 different quarterbacks. The only comparisons is that they're both 6'5", but I think Josh Allen's bigger. Josh Allen has the bigger arm. Josh Allen has proven, you know what I'm saying, he's an NFL caliber quarterback, obviously. But at this stage of their careers, man, with the more transferable skill sets, in terms of, you know, he can make all the throws. He's very decisive, highly accurate, and high football IQ. He's got Josh Allen beat at this stage. Again, coming out of college at this stage, he's got Josh Allen beat. So he'll never be Josh Allen because again, the physical traits and gifts that Josh Allen has they're just not human. Like there's not another quarterback in the NFL that can really compare to what Josh Allen can do. I don't know if we've ever seen a quarterback ever because again, quarterbacks usually that mobile are smaller and quicker, more elusive, right? And they don't usually have the cannon of an arm like a Josh Allen. Josh Allen is just weird, bro. He's just one of those weird alien hybrids. Don't like Jones neither, but he's the only the booty ass bridge available that played pretty good in San Fran. Listen, and let's not forget, man, Shanahan can do that. Shanahan can make almost anybody look good. That doesn't mean they're going to look good when they go other places. And I know Sam Darnold is looking good in Seattle, but more often than not, when you leave that Shanahan system, you become a pumpkin all over again. So Mac Jones showed us who he was after a ridiculous year uh, with the Patriots. We saw who he was. I think he's more of that guy than a dude that's going to go ahead and lead the way for us. All right. That is the hangout tonight, y'all. I appreciate you guys for chopping it up with me. Here we are, an hour and 20 minutes, man. All right. I got to get my ass to bed. So y'all have a good night, and I will see you guys next time on the Hangar. Again, Miguel, appreciate you for gifting all those memberships, man. That's absolutely awesome. I appreciate the support. But look, man, look, ultimately the draft picks aren't equal. Time and certainty definitely do matter. You give up tomorrow's mystery box or today's known asset, I think is what I wanted to get back to in terms of the valuations of it all. And that decision tells you exactly how confident a front office really is. But again, I'm not going to backpedal it. I just saw somebody's comment and I wanted to kind of touch on it a little bit. But I appreciate you guys, man. Y'all have a good night. Happy holidays. You know what I'm saying? Hope you guys are living it up with the family. Things are going great for you guys. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week so we can go ahead and do it again. All right. Good night.
I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you at a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man. I can do it all, I will never fall. It's the Renaissance, you know that I got the mother sauce, man. You know I'm the boss, I know what it costs. Have you at a loss? I'm so versatile, yeah, I'm a Renaissance, man.